If you cross the $1 million mark in retirement savings, congratulations. That represents years of discipline and hard work. But here's something that people don't realize until it's too late. The order in which you pull your money from your accounts in retirement may have a significant impact on your long term financial picture, sometimes more than people expect. Most retirees default to a spending sequence that feels logical for what's in front of them now. But like most things in life, decisions now create consequences later. For your finances, that usually means less choices. A decision that benefits you today could mean the following later: higher tax brackets, Medicare surcharges that could have been avoided, minimal tax-free wealth transfers. And so today we're going to talk about a better plan. I'm Jason Solomon. I'm the president of Tactical Investment Advisors. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through withdrawal sequencing, the order in which you draw from your different retirement accounts, and why you're going to want to get this right. If you find this helpful, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. It's going to help more people find these educational videos. All right, let's jump into it. Part 1, why spending order matters more than most people think. Most retirees have money sitting in 3 different account types, and each type has its own tax treatment. There's tax-deferred accounts, there's taxable brokerage accounts, and then there's tax-free accounts. Tax-deferred accounts, like your traditional 401k and traditional IRAs, are taxed as ordinary income in the years that you make qualified distributions. Taxable brokerage accounts, they're held outside of the retirement shell, and they're started after tax. When dividends, interest, and any realized gains happen inside your taxable brokerage accounts, you'll get a tax form at the end of the year. If the gains are from holdings that are longer than 12 months, they're going to create a long-term capital gain. If the gains are realized in less than 12 months, they create a short-term gain. For some retirees, long-term capital gains are meaningfully lower than ordinary income tax rates. Tax-free accounts are most commonly Roth IRAs, Roth 401ks. These are the accounts that you funded with after-tax dollars. That means qualified withdrawals come out completely income tax-free, of course subject to IRS rules. Most retirees spend taxable accounts first, then tax-deferred, and finally Roth. While there's logic to that approach, it's not always the most efficient strategy, especially for people that have more than $1 million saved. Deciding on which account to use depends on a lot of variables, but a more deliberate approach will serve you significantly better. Part 2, the problem with default sequencing. Here's where many high net worth retirees run into trouble. If you spend exclusively taxable accounts in the early years of retirement and you leave your traditional IRAs to grow, those balances keep growing tax deferred. And suddenly you have an enormous pile of money in this deferred account. Retirees often realize this just before RMDs begin, when the flexibility to reshape your tax picture is already shrinking. Under the Secure Act 2.0, required minimum distributions begin at age 73 or 75 for younger retirees. RMDs are required whether you need the money or not. When you spend all those years letting those accounts grow, you may now be sitting on a much larger balance than you intended, and the RMDs coming out of that balance could be substantial, large enough in many cases to push you into a higher tax bracket. But the tax bracket impact is only part of the picture. Those larger distributions may also increase the taxable portion of your Social Security benefits. Many retirees are surprised to learn that up to 85% of their Social Security benefit can become subject to federal income tax. Don't confuse that with the 85% tax rate that some of your friends will tell you will hit your Social Security. That's not true. It's worth noting, though, that these Social Security taxation thresholds are not indexed for inflation, which means more retirees can be affected as time goes on. And then there's IRMAA, the Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. It's a surcharge on your Medicare Part B and Part D premiums that applies when your income exceeds certain thresholds. Those thresholds are adjusted annually, so it's worth reviewing them each year with your advisor. What makes IRMAA particularly easy to overlook is that it's calculated based on your income from 2 years prior. So a large distribution that you take today could impact your Medicare costs 2 years from now. Many people overlook how interconnected these pieces are. A decision about which account to pull from isn't just a withdrawal decision, It's a tax decision, a Medicare decision, and even a Social Security decision, all at one time. That's why we keep hammering home the importance of a coordinated plan. Part 3, a smarter sequencing framework. Let's walk through what a more strategic approach might look like. Rather than following a rigid spend this first rule, a thoughtful withdrawal strategy for many millionaires focuses on intentionally managing taxable income each year. For some retirees, this involves Roth conversion planning. The goal in both cases is the same: smooth out the tax impact across your retirement years rather than allowing it to spike later. Here's a practical way to think about it. In the early years of retirement, before Social Security begins and before RMDs kick in, your taxable income may be at its lowest point in decades. That window is one of the most underutilized planning opportunities in retirement. During this period, some retirees may benefit from intentionally drawing a specific amount from their IRA or 401k, of course, up to a comfortable tax bracket threshold, rather than leaving those accounts completely untouched. And by doing this, you're voluntarily recognizing some income tax now at a potentially lower rate instead of being forced to recognize larger amounts later at potentially higher rates. Others may consider Roth conversions, moving money from a traditional IRA into a Roth IRA, paying tax on that amount today in exchange for qualified withdrawals that may be tax-free in the future. For someone in a lower tax bracket today who expects higher income later due to RMDs, a well-timed Roth conversion can be a viable long-term strategy, but it must be modeled carefully because converting too much in a single year can create its own set of problems. The goal isn't to avoid taxes entirely. The goal is to pay taxes at the lowest possible rate over the full arc of your retirement, rather than allowing large forced distributions to push you into brackets that you didn't have to be in. Depending on your situation, the right approach may involve drawing from more than one account type in the same year, all calibrated to keep your total income in a favorable range. Part 4, why Roth accounts deserve special attention. Roth IRAs are not subject to required minimum distributions during the account owner's lifetime, under current law, of course. However, inherited Roth accounts may follow different distribution rules. You're never forced to take money out of your Roth IRA if you don't need it. You can leave it growing. Use it strategically in the higher income years to stay below a tax bracket threshold, or pass it on to your heirs tax-free, with the exception of any estate taxes that may apply. For retirees who want to preserve income flexibility, manage Medicare exposure, and reduce Social Security taxation, or leave a legacy, Roth assets are a powerful tool, but they're only useful if you build them up, which is exactly why the early retirement window for Roth conversions deserves careful consideration for the right person. This is where working with a financial professional can make a difference. The interactions between the account types, tax brackets, Social Security, and Medicare are genuinely complex, and the decisions that you make in the first 5 to 10 years of retirement, they often set the trajectory for everything that follows. Here's the bottom line. If you have over $1 million saved for retirement, the decisions that you make about your accounts, which ones to spend from, and the order that you take distributions from them could be a game changer for your overall tax picture in retirement. Individual results will vary based on your specific circumstances. There's no single sequence that works for everyone. The right strategy depends on your tax situation, your Social Security timing, and your Medicare exposure, your estate planning goals, and the specific makeup of your accounts. But the absolute worst approach is to let those decisions happen by default, without a plan. Good retirement outcomes come from planning, not guessing. And the earlier you build a thoughtful sequencing strategy into your retirement income plan, the more likely you'll end up with the most efficient outcome. If you're within 5 to 10 years before RMDs begin and you want to make sure your plan is working for you, not against you, then let's talk. Click the link in the description below to book a free consultation, and I'll walk you through your options. Thanks for watching, and if you found this helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.